Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to the co-founder of iBRIDGE, my friend, the visionary Kamran Elahian.
How are we feeling? Can't hear you. How are we feeling? Can't hear you. How are we feeling? Yeah! It's such a pleasure. It's like a dream coming together. And I have to tell you, over 200 volunteers coming from all over, helping making this thing happen. People have a difficult time understanding that we care as human beings, and we want to build bridges to bring everybody together. We are high-tech entrepreneurs, and we are forces of good. And regardless of from which country we come, we want to work together. Now, this is not a new message that I just woke up yesterday and started to think about. Maybe entrepreneurship, high-tech entrepreneurship can help us with evolution of our species, of the humanity. The last time that I was in front of such a huge crowd in Europe was in 1993 in south of France at Sophia Antipolis. They had a gathering of entrepreneurs in there, and over 1,000 people were there. And they asked me to go and give the keynote speech, since I had 3 companies, 2 of them successful, 1 a huge failure, but at that time, few people had heard about the failure one. And they were honoring me for the 2 big successes. And they asked me to talk about where the future is. So I thought it might be good to go through my archives, find this presentation. Now remember, this was done in 1993. And it was so old that today, this morning, I passed it to Ruajan, and she was telling me that she cannot even load it up on her keynote software, so we have to run it as a PDF. So it's very cheesy, very dorky, but this is 1993 technology. So what is it that I talked about? I said that this is new one, not there. This was like, with a lot of successes, lots of failures, they go together, but what are the ways to look into megatrends to decide where you could go? So this is my 1993 presentation, and you can read it. Whatever we want, either we can do it by trading or fighting. And our first unified community was a village. We worked together there, but we fought. Then we created the cities using technology. Then we created the countries. Then we created the first super country. I guess the countries would go and colonize the rest of the world, the advanced ones using technology. Then we created the first Uber country, and then it became a major trading force using technology. And then we went and created EU, and EU was just put together in 1992, so this was a year after. And we were talking about maybe there is NAFTA, that we should expand the United States to Mexico, Canada. And what were the technologies that were key to make these things happen? I know it looks dorky, but that's the thing we had. So I was asking, what comes next? And unfortunately, you know, we had World War I, because we couldn't trade, we couldn't satisfy our needs. We had World War II. Said, what comes next? And I presented this, and of the 1,000 people who were sitting in front of me, I asked, who knows what I'm talking about? About 5 people raised their hand, and they said, we know. Most of the people were saying, what the hell are you talking about? What is WWW? And this was what I presented as the mega trend. And it's so important. WWW, we predicted, is going to be a prelude to borderless, free global trade, fulfilling human needs regardless of local restrictions. The world becomes our village. I told you it's cheesy, but it is true. If you look at our planet from the space station, do you think we see where Iran starts and India ends, or where Iran versus Turkey or Iraq or Pakistan? There are no lines up there. It's just one planet, and for that, a tiny planet. Billions of it in our galaxy, and billions of galaxies out there, bigger than our galaxy. So why the hell are we fighting so much for this tiny little planet and putting these arbitrary lines and saying, this is America, this is Mexico, this is Iran, this is Turkey, this is Pakistan, this is India? Why? From up there, all of that looks like just one tiny little planet. I know we have big egos and we like to see that we really are important, but in the universe, we are really nothing. So, with that as a background, now, 22 years later, I'm in Europe again, and I'm going to talk about what are the mega trends I see. Not that I know much, but just what my humble opinion the world is going to go through. And these are the things that you can use as entrepreneurs. They're the big mega trends, the big waves. And why is it important? Is if you understand the big wave, then you can have a play in creating success. Because if a big wave is coming, if you are a reasonably good surfer and have a reasonably good surfboard, you can jump on it and move forward. On the other token, if you are the best surfer and have the most advanced surfboard, but there is no wave, guess what? No action. So, the first one, electricity and energy wants to be free. Very key thing. I know a lot of oil, gas, coal companies try to make us think like that's our future, that's the way it has to be. Well, that's the thing of the past. What is going on? This is predictions by Ray Kurzweil. Using photovoltaic, the solar panel technology, and followed up with thin film. What is going to happen to the price of energy to create 1 kilowatt hour of electricity? It used to be $76. He predicted by 2014 it would be 36 cents. Kurzweil law, every 2 years it becomes half price. Well, he was wrong. According to New York Times, in November of 2014, in the heart of Texas, the land of oil and gas, Austin Energy, a utility company, wanted to build a new plant. And on wholesale, the lowest bid was photovoltaic. And guess what was the price? 5 cents. And they decided not to use coal, not to use oil, not to use gas, not to use nuclear. Interesting. Now, the other part of this, which is even more interesting, is Dr. Kurzweil, who is the chief scientist of Google, and all of us in Silicon Valley look up to him. He knows 10 times more than I would ever dream to learn in my life. God knows how many patents he has. What he says is, within 20 years, all of the energy of the world will be, all the requirements will be met by photovoltaic, and the cost of energy would be 0. Now that's a very strong statement. And when he says 0, it might appear like nonsense, crazy talk. But just remember, when first switching device, vacuum tube, was created, it cost around $15 to $20. Today, your iPhone or any smartphone you have has a central processor inside it that has a couple billion switching devices in it, transistors, and it costs around $15 to $20. So effectively, cost of a switching is free. That's a very, very key thing, because we are sitting on a time bomb if we have an economy that is primarily, or a huge percentage of it, is making money from extractive economy, oil, gas, coal. And we have seen the prices have dropped. And don't be fooled by a little hiccup that it has gone up to about, I don't know, $60 as of last week. It will have some fluctuations, but the trend is down and down and down. And what should we do? It's not a problem that just one country or another has. I give this talk in Russia. I give this talk in Kazakhstan, in Azerbaijan. I was just in Norway, flew in yesterday. Gave a talk to a former Minister of Energy. Any country that is relying big time on extractive economy is going to have problems. And when they have problems and the youth don't have jobs, they will not do good things. Lots of energy, lots of creativity needs to be channeled into something good. That's what this conference is all about. Channeling that energy, allowing them to change the world for the better. One of the reasons I'm wearing this, not because I was a very good volunteer, did a lot of work. It was the team of volunteers you saw gave me this honorary t-shirt and gave me the honor to share this moment with them. More than 200 volunteers from all over the world helped make this conference happen, because the young people see where the future is, and we need to listen to them, and we need to empower them. Second megatrend, consumption wants to have a conscience. If you don't believe in that, talk to the younger generation. Talk to your kids, to your nephews, to your nieces. They don't want us to destroy our planet. They don't want us to create pollution. Remember, we used to have all of these tobacco companies in America, in Europe, promoting tobacco is good for you, giving us cancer, destroying our lungs. We figured it out that no, it is not good. And where are the tobacco companies? They don't have much market in the advanced countries. They go and exploit developing countries that have not learned how to fight with this dark side of innovation. They create e-cigarettes. They create new things to try to promote it. It's wrong. Broadband wants to be free. It's very, very key. Internet everywhere, broadband everywhere. I have had the pleasure of being involved with actually some of you in here. Shaheen Hedayat, we were together, worked on Centillion Communications to bring ADSL to the world. We worked together on BSIM Communications, the leading company of 4G technology. Each one of these brought the cost lower and lower and lower. But we haven't seen anything yet. 5G is coming, but something completely out of ITU, IEEE standards is the work that the renegades like Facebook, like Google are doing. That's what is going to set us free and give us all broadband, high speed, all over the world. At ITU and at UN, we have had discussions that it should be a human right to have access to high-speed internet. Now, when I say this thing, you might say, what do you do when you're thinking about creating a new company? What should you do? When you look at adding value in an information technology company, you can do things manually, mechanically, electromechanical, microelectronic, software, or content. The higher you go, the higher is the value of your work. To give you a feel for it, let's pick up something simple, sewing. You do it manually, you get what, $1 a day. You use a mechanical device, you get maybe $2 a day. You use an electromechanical one, maybe we get $5 a day. Your productivity goes up. You use microelectronic one, put a floppy disk with a whole, yes, there are still sewing machines with floppy disk. You put that in there and you can actually have a lot of patterns already there and your productivity goes higher. Maybe you get $10 a day. You can use one which has a lot of software embedded in it on a DVD, put some very complex patterns and do better and maybe make $20 a day. But if you really want to go and do fantastic stuff, you use one with something like iPad embedded in it, high-speed internet connectivity, you download very complicated patterns, and maybe you even go and make more money on creating new patterns, become Yves Saint Laurent, become Louis Vuitton. That's where millions of dollars are, using your brain. So timing is key, figuring out when you have to go from one thing to another. And that's the opportunity for entrepreneurs. The next thing is geographic innovation value. You can go into every sector and figure out which country where this kind of innovation is going to happen. And you all saw in the automotive industry, it used to be General Motors was number one. Toyota was number one. Volkswagen, number one. But a company like Tesla came and created what people refer to as electric car. That was just the first step. It really is a software platform. And it's gathering the content. If you use a Tesla and start to go and see a pothole, it notes the next person that's coming should avoid that. That kind of knowledge content is very key. We have the same thing on nanotech innovation value. We are right now at the 10 to the minus 7 to 10 to the minus 10 level. And amazing stuff are happening. We have another one on molecular biology. Amazing, amazing changes are coming into play. But there is a dark side of innovation. We need to make sure, as entrepreneurs, we do things that benefit humanity and avoid all this nonsense, weapons of mass destruction, nuclear. I don't care which country is making it. It's wrong. It should not be done. Whether it's US, Iran, Israel, any country. Any of these weapons of mass destruction is the wrong kind of innovation. The world doesn't need it. You can read all these other ones. We already saw what happened with the global financial collapse. We need to make sure we do not just invest time and energy on speculative economy just to make money. We need to do the things that have global human values and become the agents of change. The last thing I will tell you is sharing economy wants to be everywhere. Think of that. Happiness and having a great life is not about owning everything. I never forget Barbara Streisand in Funny Girl. She said this, money is like manure. The more you hold on to it, the more you stink. The more you spread it around, it's like fertilizer and creates many new positive energy and great activities. Keep that in mind, and when you make your millions, and hopefully some of you make your billions, using your brain and coming up with new innovations and creating thousands of jobs, the only request I have on you is anywhere, any place in the world, they ask you to go and give a talk, do it. Don't ask for money. Teach everybody. Share it with everyone, your knowledge. And let's all work together, make this a wonderful planet for all of us and all the future generations to come. Thank you all and love you all.
Thank you, Kamran Jan, for your very inspiring